Hey y'all, it's Paris and I'm back with another video. So today I just wanted to share with you guys a video about God is going to prove them wrong and rescue you. God is going to prove them wrong and rescue you, okay? So I'm going to be coming from 2 Chronicles chapter 32 and I'm going to start at verse 7 and then I'm going to kind of skip around. So it's very important that you read this chapter yourself, okay? So starting at verse 7, it says, "Be strong and courageous. Don't be afraid of the king of Assyria or his mighty army, for there is a power far greater on our side. He may have a great army, but they are just men. We have the Lord our God to help us and to fight our battles for us." These words greatly encouraged the people. Then King Sennacherib of Assyria, while still besieging the town of Lachish, sent officials to Jerusalem with this message to Hezekiah and all the people in the city. "This is what the king Sennacherib of Assyria says. What are you trusting in that makes you think you can survive my siege of Jerusalem? Hezekiah has said, the Lord our God will rescue us from the king of Assyria. Surely Hezekiah is misleading you. He's sentencing you to death by famine and thirst. Surely you must realize that Hezekiah is the very person who destroyed all the Lord's shrines and altars. He commanded Judah and Jerusalem to worship at only the one altar at the temple and to make sacrifices on it alone. Surely you must realize what I and the other kings of Assyria before me have done to all the people of the earth. Were any of the gods of those nations able to rescue their people from their power? Name just one time when any god anywhere was able to rescue his people from me. What makes you think your God can do any better? Don't let Hezekiah fool you. Don't let him deceive you like this. I say it again. No God of any nation has ever yet been able to rescue his people from me or my ancestors. How much less will your God rescue you from my power?" Skipping to verse 20. Then King Hezekiah and the prophet Isaiah, son of Amos, cried out in prayer to God in heaven. And the Lord sent an angel who destroyed the Assyrian army with all its commanders and officers. So Sennacherib returned home in disgrace to his own land. And when he entered the temple of his God, some of his own sons killed him there with a sword. That is how the Lord rescued Hezekiah and the people of Jerusalem from King Sennacherib of Assyria and from all the others who threatened them. So there was peace at last throughout the land. From then on, King Hezekiah became highly respected among the surrounding nation, and many gifts for the Lord arrived in Jerusalem with valuable presents for King Hezekiah too. So I'm going to stop right there, y'all. So as you can see, by reading this story, you can tell that the king Sennacherib, or whatever his name is, he is basically, trying to invade Hezekiah and the people of Jerusalem, right? And so he's thinking to himself, like, there's never been any other God to ever rescue, to ever rescue people from, his power, right? And so he's thinking, okay, no other God has ever done it. So why would your God be able to do it, right? And so with that being said, you may be in a situation just like Hezekiah and the people of Jerusalem that, you may be facing, something very difficult, something very frightening. Like, you're not sure how you're going to get out of this situation. You're not sure how God is going to, rescue you. But you just know that you're in a situation and, people around you, that maybe they're trying to tell you, like, how are you gonna get out of this situation? This has never happened. Or when this particular situation happened for whoever, they never got out of it. So there basically are people who are naysayers. They're people who are, basing things off of their experience, but they don't know your God. They don't know your God, okay? They don't know your God. All right. And maybe you don't have any naysayers. Maybe you don't have, anyone that's saying anything against you. Maybe it's your own thoughts. It could really be your own thoughts. Like maybe, you're trying to believe God for something, but your own thoughts keep telling you that God is not going to do it. Your own thoughts are just like the king, your own thoughts are just like King Sennacherib. Your thoughts keep telling you like, well, this didn't happen for this person, so how is God going to do it for me? Like your own thoughts are basically keeping you trapped or making you feel like God is not going to rescue you, okay? So with that being said, you see in this story that when the king of Assyria was saying all these things to Hezekiah, he was basically boasting. He was boasting and just saying like, I've done this and I've done that, and people have never, gotten under my power, right? Or gotten away from my power. And we also see that when Hezekiah prayed, God answered him, right? Because it says in verse 20, then King Hezekiah and the prophet Isaiah, son of Amos, cried out in prayer to God in heaven. And the Lord sent an angel who destroyed the Assyrian army with all its commanders and officers. So Sennacherib returned home in disgrace. In disgrace, y'all. So the people who are, the naysayers or the people who are putting doubt into your head, saying that things have never been done this way, or, they don't see how, God is going to get you out. God is going to prove them wrong. And he's going to do it not even for your sake, but for his sake, because his name is on the line. God's name is on the line, okay? God's name is on the line. I'm pretty sure there's a bunch of people watching you. They're watching your story, just like there's people watching me, watching my story, right? And so the thing is that God knows that people are watching us. God knows that people are watching, God knows that people are watching, because they really want to see, like, is God really going to come through for them, right? And so with that being said, God has to do, he has to do something for his sake, for the sake of his name, okay? The sake of his name, because his name is on the line. God has to get the glory, right? We can't get the glory. So with that being said, God is going to rescue you from this impossible situation so that he can show your naysayers, so that he can show the people who are doubting you, so that he can even show even you, even if you are doubting, God, he wants to prove your thoughts wrong. He wants to show you that, hey, like, no, like, I can do this. I can do this. Yes, I probably didn't do it for so-and-so, but I can do it for you. I can do it for you. All right. So, when I was reading this, I actually read this, maybe about a week ago, and I wanted to release this video before, but I was on a break, and, God, really had me resting. He really had me coming back to myself. So I needed a break. But with that being said, I'm releasing this video now, and I just pray that this video is in season for you. And I pray that, whatever you're going through, whether it's your own thoughts or whether you have people around you at work, at school, at home, whatever, like people doubting you, people saying that God is not going to do it, people saying that it never happened, people saying whatever, God is going to prove them wrong. Okay? God is going to prove them wrong. Even this reminds me of, even with me, moving to Texas, when I first moved out here, or before I moved out here, I had people telling me like, family members just basically asked me like, why did I want to come out here? And, just telling me like, it could be this way for me, like just basically saying that things may not work out. You know what I'm saying? And I had to shut all that out, and I had to do whatever God was telling me to do, okay? I didn't care about the naysayers. I basically did whatever I felt God was leading me to do. And so with that being said, you may have people around you, they're gonna say their opinions, they're gonna say whatever they wanna say. However, you have to believe, and just like it says in verse 7, it says, be strong and courageous, right? Don't be afraid of the king of Assyria or his mighty army. Okay, so the king of Assyria had a great army, right? So it seemed like he was more powerful. But it said, for there is a power far greater on our side. He may have a great army, but they are just men. We have the Lord our God to help us. God is greater than any army, okay? It doesn't matter how many people are in this army. It can be 1 million people. God is still greater. God is still greater. His power is still greater. God's power is still greater, okay? It doesn't matter how powerful these people may feel. It doesn't matter how fearful they may try to make you. God is still greater. God is still greater. God still has more power. God still has more power. So with that being said, I just hope that this encourages you that, you know, God is, he's going to do something because his name is on the line, okay? And so when we go back to verse, let's just go back to verse 20. And it says, then King Hezekiah and the prophet Isaiah, son of Amos, cried out in prayer to God in heaven. And the Lord sent an angel who destroyed the Assyrian army with its commanders and officers. So Sennacherib returned home in disgrace to his own land. And when he entered the temple of his God, okay, not our God, but his God, little g, G-O-D, little G-O-D, some of his own sons killed him there with a sword. That is how the Lord rescued Hezekiah and the people of Jerusalem. So it's crazy, like the same person who was doing all this talk, the same person who said, the Lord our God will rescue us from the king of Assyria. Surely Hezekiah is misleading you, sentencing you to death by famine and thirst. Surely you must realize that Hezekiah is the very person who destroyed all the Lord's shrines and altars. So the same person who said all of that, his own sons took his life. His own sons took his life. Now, I'm not saying that this is something that we should celebrate, but I'm just saying this is not a coincidence. God really takes care of his people, okay? Especially when it involves him and his name. You think he's gonna allow people to get away with it? It may look like they're getting away with it. It may look like, you know, that they're able to say all these things to you, say all these things about you, but no, God takes care of his people. God takes care of his people, okay? All you have to do is say a prayer, okay? Just like Hezekiah did in verse 20. It says, then Hezekiah and the prophet Isaiah, son of Amos, cried out in prayer. That's all you have to do. You go to God. You go to your God, big G-O-D, and you tell him what's going on. You tell him your problem and watch God fix it. Watch God take care of it, okay? And again, even if you don't have any, naysayers, even if it's just your own thoughts, you still go to God and you tell God, like, these are my thoughts. My thoughts, the devil is in my mind. He's telling me that you're not going to do this. He's telling me that, this could never happen, that you won't rescue me, okay? You go to God with your thoughts and you tell him, Lord, like, this is what I'm thinking. So I just hope and I pray that this video encourages you. Know that God is going to come through for you. Know that he's going to rescue you, and know that, God has to do this because his name is on the line, okay? His name is on the line, and God will definitely protect his faithful ones, his people, okay? God will definitely protect his people, all right? So I hope that this encourages you guys. And if you guys want to book a session with me, feel free to do that. All you have to do is email me. All my information will be in my description box, okay?